How you choose to express yourself, it's all your own, and I can tell it comes naturally. It comes naturally.
From Green 960 in San Francisco, I'm Beth Greer, and this is your Supernatural Life. This show is part of the Green Morning, heard every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. My show is about taking natural living up a notch to supernatural living, and each week I interview top experts who show you ways to live a supernatural life. My goal is to keep us all healthy, and one way to do that is to become aware that everything, what we eat, touch, use to clean, build, and furnish our homes, as well as the invisible electronic pollution we're exposed to, is linked to our health and well-being. Well, I'm so excited about today's show because I'm going to be speaking with a man who did something that doctors say is impossible. He healed himself naturally from the very serious disease of hepatitis. Johnny Delirious was told that he had about 8 months to live unless he got a liver transplant. But instead, he made a complete recovery from hepatitis A, B, and C using natural methods. He's free of the virus and antibodies for over 17 years and is a true Hepatitis-A-B-C recovery pioneer. His goal is to help everyone have healthy livers. His book, Hepatitis C Cured, tells of this healing journey and is available in 4 languages at his website, johnnydelirious.com. Welcome to your Supernatural Life, Johnny.
Beth, it's really an honor to be with you, and I love your show.
Thank you. Well, I love what you did. It's remarkable, and I think people really need to know that, you know, even if you get a dire diagnosis like you had, where you're given, you know, a few months to live, that you can turn this around, and it's I think it's inspiring, and your book was really amazing. And so, first, I want to maybe for people who are listening today and don't know what hepatitis is, maybe you can tell us what it is and why it's so important to have a healthy liver.
Well, sure. Hepatitis, whether it's A, B, C, D, or E, is all a viral infection or infestation of the liver. That's where it concentrates on. And basically, you know, hepatitis C is the one that people are really wary of because you can die from it. You can die from A and B as well, but most people recover for hepatitis A and B. C is the one that lingers, and eventually, when your health goes down and you're not being so natural, after a while your liver starts being taken over, and then, you know, you'll die.
Mm-hmm. So the difference between A, B, and C, I mean, C seems to be the worst, but like how would somebody contract any of these? And I didn't even know there was a D and E. So what?
Sure. Well, usually the D and E are from drinking bad water, especially the D. It happens a lot in Indian and Asian countries, but there have been reports across other continents. A is you can catch it from kissing somebody or sneezing, somebody sneezing in your face, or like what happened to me, someone used my harmonica when I was in high school, and I caught hepatitis A because they had it.
Oh.
B and C are more blood-borne. You have to have some sort of interaction, either sexual or use somebody's razor blade or use somebody's needle if you're a drug addict. It has to be some sort of, entering the body that way on a blood-borne form.
I see.
So, but a lot of this is still up in the air. Some people don't know how they got some hepatitis, and certainly I'm in a fog of how I really got C. So it's all a guessing game. But when you got it, you got it.
Right. Now I remember reading in your book that you thought you might have picked up one of them from shellfish. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely. I grew up near the coast, right on the coast of Florida, and there were articles for a long time during the 70s and late 60s about the oysters being tainted with hepatitis, and so there was kind of like a scare don't go eating oysters. Of course, in my area, that's really popular, and they had all the oysters and beer, all the oysters you can drink, and beer
Right.
you can eat
Uh-huh.
for $12.50, and of course I did that. So
Uh-huh.
I'm sure I probably got one of them from oysters.
So how did you get over? Let's start with A first. You said that someone played your harmonica and you caught it because they had it. So how did you get? What did doctors
In
do?
high school, this was about 69, 70. There was about 5 or 6 of us guys and 3 or 4 of the gals in high school. We all got yellow, and of course I was in a couple of bands, and we'd have music festivals and things like that. And I really think that the people that I was playing with in the band and some of the other people, we all got it, and so I don't know if I caught it from one of them that played my harmonica or I caught it from kissing one of the girls, but anyway, we all came down and they called us Mellow Yellow in high school, and it was kind of a tag name. Oh, you're so mellow yellow.
Oh my goodness. So your skin actually turns yellow, not just the whites of your eyes.
Absolutely. When you come down and it's in a chronic form, and at that point, we were quarantined. The school said, well, when you get over past your chronic stage, or and usually hepatitis A, if you are healthy, and of course we were young, you will get over it with just rest and good food and no drinking, of course.
Right. Now, this is back in the 60s. Is hepatitis A, or people, is this still a significant kind of issue for people?
Well, it is. They had a big hepatitis A scare not too long ago. You've heard of the other food-borne diseases, but a lot of people came down with hepatitis A and died just a few years ago in Virginia. And so it was from onions that the CDC traced back around these Mexican restaurants. They had, of course, onions in the guacamole and the salsa, and of course they weren't cooked, so obviously the tainted onions got in the salsa and everybody's eating chips, and so there was about 4 people that died, and that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
I see. Okay. And so so you got over your hepatitis A with rest and eating good food, and then so what about hepatitis B? What did you do for that?
Well, the same thing. My father was a medical doctor, and at that time he was just kind of wrapping up his practice, but my mom sort of nursed me, and I went home, and I more or less for about a week and a half, a month and a half, and maybe a couple of weeks more, just rested at home, and like I said, just ate healthy and lots of rest, and eventually the yellow went away, and eventually the yellow in my eyes went away, and I got my strength back and got back to school.
Okay, so now it's kind of like getting struck by lightning three times. So 3 times the term. Then you contracted hepatitis C, and so do you think you were already sort of predisposed to that?
That always has hung in the back of my mind, because I mentioned in the book that when I got diagnosed, I ate a bad seafood cocktail in Mexico. It had oysters and shrimp and everything, but it was so hot I couldn't tell if
Right.
it tasted good. It was really hot, so I couldn't tell whether it's spoiled or not, obviously, because it's so hot. But then the very next day, I was all yellow. My eyes were yellow, and got diagnosed. They said at that time in 1981 that it was a non-A, non-B. So I said, well, I'll just rest just like I did for hepatitis A and B. But little did I know, it wasn't until 1991 that I just got so debilitated that I couldn't do anything, that I finally just, realized and went to the doctor, got tested, and they said, oh, you have hepatitis C.
And so you thought of it that this was like a death sentence for you, because most people don't get cured of that.
Well, they told me that they recommended do a biopsy, take a closer look, and I said sure. So they went in, took the core sample of my liver, and went in and tested it and everything. And they said I had 96% scar tissue, and I'd be lucky to live past 8 months.
And so, what did you do then? What went through your mind?
Well, it got me really scared, and they were saying that liver transplant was the next thing in order, and I said, well, let me see the research. It's the University Medical Center. There's a big, college there, and so they were stunned that I would question what they said, but I said, no, I want to read the research. Give me the stuff on interferon, which was the drug they suggested, and the other ones in the cocktail, and then give me the research on this university, right? And they said, well, yes, and I said, well, just give me the research. Well, it'll take us time. I said, I'll come back in a week. So I got my research, read it like a hungry junkyard dog that just got his meal, and just really tried to digest it, and I just couldn't find that was right for me, because most people with transplants don't live more than 6 years.
So you've got like a majority of your liver has scar tissue on it, and what did you do first? If you didn't want to take the interferon, what was your first step?
Yeah, well, it was like I had a problem with them, and my family and everybody just said I was totally nuts, that I wouldn't do what the doctors told me.
Sure.
And I walked out, saying I can do better with this than herbs, and they're saying you're just crazy with, you can't do your own thinking because you're so sick. You're just delirious.
Oh.
And
yeah.
So on my way out, I said, well, when Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, like this. And they just said, all right, Johnny Delirious, you going, you're a dead man, just like that.
So that's how you came up with your name.
That's where I got my name. And on my way to my car and everything, I just said, all right, I'm going to beat this thing because I want to keep my own liver. And so I started, with herbs like milk thistle. I started eating real simple diet like rice and beans and watermelon, and just really started doing cleansings and fasts and things like that. That's how it all began. But I jumped into this whole regime and just research of natural health, and actually got a master's degree in natural health out of it, and I'm halfway through my PhD in it as
Fantastic. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, let's talk about the simple diet that you chose, and the cleansing the cleansing that you did to help detoxify yourself and your liver.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.